Welcome to 50/50 Books, the book review podcast where the books are split in two and figuring out just what is going on is always a toss-up. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jonathan. This episode we are reading The Stardust Grail by Yume Kitasei, stopping before Part 3, The Visitor. Taylor, we've got sci-fi and we've got sci-fi hard.
Yeah.
We are deep in space and it has been I would think a whirlwind of information. I think it's been a lot of exposition, a lot of information, which just feels like the sci-fi genre. How do you feel?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's done a good job, though, of kind of spreading out the information in a way that kind of feels natural. Like, it's not just a big wall of text explaining things. It's been relatively digestible, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this might be one of the first books where us taking notes is actually helping the experience.
I know. Yeah. I felt like the few times I've read sci-fi in the past, which I said last episode, I was like, I don't know if I've read spacey sci-fi. That was wrong. I definitely have. And it made me think of it because in the past when I've read sci-fi, I have felt like I needed to be taking notes and keeping track of all the information, especially because you point out a good thing about this book so far. It's not encyclopedic, right? Like things are coming up as they're relevant, but a lot of other sci-fi is encyclopedic and just kind of giving you information just to like set the world up. Whereas here you kind of have to earn it a little bit more, which I like.
Yeah. Yeah, the only chapter that felt like maybe the most heavy-handed, I guess, is like the first one when we kind of get Maya, our character, speaking about these artifacts with like her knowledge. Like she's obviously the smartest person in the room, and I was like, this might be a little too much, but also it's setting up that she is the smartest person in the room, so I was like, okay,
right.
I'll forgive it. It is the first chapter.
Yeah, I think with that we can just get into it.
Yeah, and I basically did, I guess. Speaking of Maya, we do start off with her being a Princeton student at this time, and we know she is kind of in the art theft scene, or she had been. She's been out of it for about 10 years now, and she, for a long time, was looking for something called the Grail, which makes it sound more mythic than it is.
Yeah. It's I think the idea is to kind of give Holy Grail vibes, right?
Yes,
Otherwise,
for sure.
I don't know where this word would come from. And it seems that the only people who actually refer to it this way are Maya and Uncle. Like I don't think anyone else. Well, and then the people they introduced to the concept. It seems like the other people who understand the same concept as the Grail referred to it as the Stardust Machine, but this only gets mentioned like briefly at the beginning, and no one else mentions it again.
I feel like Garcia also mentioned it as a Grail.
Oh, did he?
He might have, but he might have been saying that in response to knowing Maya had been searching for it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was maybe like a human idea to call it a Grail, because that is very human mythology, right? With the Holy Grail.
Yeah, but it's funny because Uncle's the other person who calls it that, and like, I don't know, when Liam talks about it, he's kind of like, oh, like your stupid, silly little Grail, even though he actually kind of ends up on the hunt for it too. Like, I don't think those processes like the same idea for, I don't know, I guess other academics, or at the least Liam.
But to be fair, Uncle is very humanized, I guess. There's almost kind of like a soulmate energy between Uncle and Maya. Like they are a family as much as they can be. So
one of my notes was like, are they partners? Like at first I was confused.
They are a lot of things at once. I got kind of that feeling, and I think that's how it's described by Maya. It's also tough because Maya sets up pretty early that like they're searching for this Grail, and Uncle has been searching for it for like 100 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But like the front row don't actually remember much of their own history because they're like a dying out species and they've been alive for so long. So it's like, would they call it a Stardust Machine if they've never seen it or like experienced it? Or would they just use this human terminology and call it a Grail?
Sure. I think this is, how do I want to say this? Like this bothered me a little bit just because I couldn't tell if it was really just Maya being like, ooh, I'm like sort of, mythologizing this thing, or like, you know, putting it up on a pedestal and that I'm calling it the Grail. And she kind of like laughs it off like, haha, I just call it a Grail because like it's its nickname when other people said the Stardust Machine. So there's things like that where I'm like, okay, why are we doing this then? Like, is this truthfully a difference between peoples of the book, or is this like a way to strong arm a title? Like making it the Stardust Grail is a lot more interesting than calling it the Stardust Machine. Like I thought was like, okay, maybe that was originally the Stardust Machine, but an editor was like, that's not going to sell books. Like, let's call it the Grail. But then also it does stick for the rest of the book, which makes me think the Grail is its real name, and then I don't understand why machine is ever brought up. It seems to introduce something that doesn't need to be there.
I think it is just like the point in which history becomes mythology. I think that's basically what's happening here, right? Like it is the Stardust Machine, although I don't know if they know that title until the 5th volume comes out, to be fair. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're chasing after this thing that might not even exist. Grail, I guess, just makes sense.
Yeah. It's also just weird because we know for the front row, it's like a reproductive device, basically. So it's like either of these names suddenly doesn't feel right either. Like I almost wonder if it has a true name that's not either of these names that the front row would have called it in the past.
I mean, probably, right? Like there's a lot about their culture that is just kind of lost completely. So yeah, they probably did have their own. It probably isn't even called the Stardust Machine because that's like human words, right?
Humans. Mm-hmm. They see it as a machine because of its relationship with nodes. They don't see it as the reproductive device. So
yeah, and it is interesting to call it a machine because based on like the description we got, I think from the 5th volume, I think it's described as like being organic, right? Like
for sure, I was going to say that word too. Yep, organic. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some ethical discussions about dissecting something like that we can get into, but yeah, machine might not even be the proper term.
Yeah.
But that's what Maya's doing, basically. Or it was what she was doing. She was searching for that for 10 years. And it ended up leading to her and Uncle being captured by this Belzor group, nation, clan. I think clan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lithians. And they were kind of held and it seemed like experimented on, tortured.
All of the above.
Yeah. And after that traumatic experience, Maya was kind of like, I'm done. Like, we're no closer to finding the Grail. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. She just kind of wants, like, to settle down and have a peaceful life.
Don't we all?
I know. And we'll talk about that concept a lot, I feel like, in the second half, because there's another character that kind of wants that same thing. Mm-hmm. But with the Belzor, obviously they were captured and put in a difficult situation. But also we get hints of and learn later that them being captured there ended up killing like 10,000 Lithians because of this infection.
Yeah, this part was kind of crazy because effectively they started a pandemic on this planet by being captured. There's a weird thing where they kind of warn them that they shouldn't, mess with them because of that, but then also like they shouldn't have been there to begin with.
Yeah.
So, I get what they're going for. Like they were trying to find this thing and it's really important. And obviously they really want it for Uncle. But on the other hand, I understand why Maya's scared off of continuing because upon reflection, she realizes we didn't really think that all the way through and think about the potential consequences.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely not as like black and white, I think, as Maya and Uncle stand right now, because Maya feels completely guilty, right? She thinks she has to atone. That's kind of why she's also retired for these 10 years, because she doesn't want to cause destruction like that again. But it's also like you did kind of warn them, and it's not like you were hiding you were infected. Like Maya has like the markings on her eye, and Uncle's literally a front row, which is where like the virus, what infection seems to originate, it seems, question mark.
Yeah, I was confused about that.
Yeah. So like you did warn the Belzor, but yeah, I guess it's okay that they're pissed. They did lose like 10,000 people, so what can you do?
And not that you can trade lives for one, but like at the end of the day, you can't even get close to it. They lost 10,000 lives, and they're trying. I don't know how much reproductive capability Uncle has, but no, whatever number of kids Uncle has as a result, you can't bring those 10,000 lives back. And there's like the thought behind that too of sacrificing other people to advance your own that Uncle seems to be behind. So like it lines up, but I'm not sure it's the best thinking.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has a little bit of that, right? It's still, we have this interstellar web connecting us all, but it's still like about our own preservation, our own survival. And it's interesting to read it from like a human perspective because the Belzors seem like they went too far and they did terrible shit. But when you think about it, humans would have done the exact same thing.
Right. Yeah.
And they are doing the exact same thing. So it's like, why is one looking worse than the other? Because one's an alien.
It's true. Yeah. It's weird to think of it so biologically, right? Like, but there is sort of a implicit bias in at least humans, but I'm not surprised that these other species are written this way too, towards your own species. Like you have a priority order where you're like, okay, like you could believe, people are people and people of different species are still people. You can have a lot of these ideas of equality and sort of a lack of bias. And I think the point that some of this is trying to make is, but like when it comes down to it, like you get to the nitty-gritty, like, realities of the world that aren't so pretty, like what do you end up choosing? And that's kind of, I think, the split between Maya and like Uncle and Will.
Yeah, and I think it's that divide that kind of drives the entire plot of this book, because we have the issue of the Grail coming up when it seems like a possibility, when Princeton gets that donation that involves the Volume 5 voyage book, whatever. So the Stardust machine seems especially attainable. Uncle comes back into the picture, like, we need to go find the Grail, whatever. And Maya is getting that back in her head as well. And she gets intercepted by Garcia, who's in charge, or not in charge, but like part of the CNE, which is the coalition of the nations of Earth. And it is Frenro technology, so it makes sense to give it to the Frenro and have them continue their species, which is basically what Maya is doing at the moment for this book. But Garcia brings up the other side of this, which is nodes are disappearing around Earth, right? Disappearing, they're being destroyed by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And the Grail can create nodes. And so Earth wants that for themselves, so they can study it, so they can recreate it, so they don't have to be like beholden to the alien forces to kind of help them along, because Earth kind of sucks here. We're lagging behind as expected. But then that brings up like you should care about your own, not you should care about your own people, but like there's nothing wrong necessarily with caring about the survival of your own people.
Right.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing the CNE is doing, but it's like it is that dilemma we're entering here.
I think dilemma is the right word. Yeah, because even if you don't see it that way, like I think it becomes real when you see that a node has disappeared nearby to where our main crew is. And they like talk about like, oh, on the other side of that node is like a Chinese settlement. And now those people are presumably, they don't like emphasize this too much, but this is the thought I had, is like now those people are presumably cut off, which feels major.
Yeah, I mean, it's extinction on one side for the Frenro, right? But it is complete isolation on the other for Earth and for these settling colonies. Settling colonies is a crazy way for me to phrase that, considering the language of this book. For these like settlers in these other nodes, right? Yeah.
So it's like it's both not a zero-sum game, but not like a balancing act. Like there is some things that are lost for some choices to be made. Like it's very difficult. I don't necessarily think there's not a version, that double negative. I think there's a version where like maybe multiple parties can get what they need, what they want, and this all works out. But I see the urgency behind the CNE and the reasoning behind wanting to pursue this as a path in case maybe other paths don't work.
Right. It makes sense for like Earth to want to develop themselves to be able to stand on their own, basically. I guess the issue comes in, and the reason it's so easy to like distrust and hate the CNE is because, I mean, for one thing, they were against settler independence, which seems to be like a very major thing in this book. Maya being a settler, often called a colonist, depending on who she's talking to. But yeah, there's a whole war. A lot of settlers died because of the infection, and because they had to ration like their food and their
it was a war.
Everything. Yeah, it was tough. And so there's still tension between those two groups, and then also the CNE, just as you expect with kind of like a militant force. It's kind of shoot first, ask questions later sometimes.
Yeah, they're very violent. Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't seem to understand Maya's perspective of like, if the technology isn't yours, then you probably shouldn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Which causes problems for them with the Grail and for other things, which we'll talk about with one of our characters. But
Yep.
Yeah.
I did like that this relationship between the CNE and the settlers was like a little parallel to revolutionary times for the US, of like how they kind of amassed enough of their own power to overcome the place that they technically originated from, right? And like become their own entity. It's like, okay, I like this, I dig this.
Yeah. I was also getting, with Earth and like alien species helping them, I was getting kind of Native American vibes, like the natives helping us as colonists to be able to, grow food and learn how to live here and all of that kind of stuff. And
right.
That was very similar to like Earth and like, I mean, aliens in general, but like the Frenro were the ones that kind of set up the nodes and like got us to where we are in this book, basically. And the word Frenro meaning friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're kind of just like shooting random people for a grail that doesn't even belong to us. So it's like, oh, okay.
I didn't even like the connection with native folks is good too, because of like the Frenro kind of also pay the price for kindness a bit here, right? Like they get somewhat basically decimated, right? By everyone else, and they're treated a certain way. Like they don't think that Uncle should show up on the Emerald Planet in their original form. So it all lines up. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because we should mention the Belzor like basically wipe out the Frenro. Like all of the Grails basically are gone because of the Belzor. So yeah, I will be interested to see if we see any other Frenro in this book.
Yeah, I'm not expecting it personally, but that'd be interesting.
I don't know. And then there's the whole we don't know where the Frenro come from, and the Dead Sea is still an aspect that needs to be explored. So maybe there's actually more than we think. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's like all the pre-stuff, which sounds crazy.
Yeah.
This book is actually very short for the amount of stuff happening in it.
I think it took me just as long to read it as a longer book because of all like the note taking and keeping track of things, because it is a ton. Like it's I don't know, just a ton of information and a lot of things happening. And I feel like all these characters matter, right? Like there's a number of characters in the book that all have a pivotal role.
Right, which is surprising. Like, yeah, everybody feels like they have value. Even Pickle.
Yeah.
Pickle feels very important. And then speaking of other characters, we figure out that Uncle has hired some more crew for this heist, which is worrisome to Maya because she doesn't believe Uncle has like the best judge of character, basically.
Yeah.
I might agree here, considering who we got on board.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially if you just do like the dossier and it's like cool, like treasonous CNE officer and rogue medical robot, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh boy.
Yeah, because we have Medics, who is that medical robot, also a hacker, which makes sense, I guess.
Casual, yeah. I think that's probably just like second nature to a robot in this universe.
Yeah, but he's also been giving himself more emotions, basically, because he's supposed to have a certain cap on those things. But he wants to be alive. Classic.
It is classic. It's almost too classic. I'm curious to see if this story actually has like a complete arc or ends up mattering a whole lot beyond like the typical like I'm a robot and I want to be sentient. You know, I'd be curious in the second half to see if that grows.
Yeah, because this is like a side character, so it really depends on how much we can afford.
Yeah.
I think we've had some good discussions so far, though, on like what it means to be alive anyway. So I'm kind of hopeful.
I think Medics is an interesting character and kind of fun to read, but I am afraid that it's going to be a generic sci-fi storyline.
Yeah, fair enough. Of course, the CNE saying that Medics has killed people, I was like, I don't know about this one. It turns out he just kind of helped somebody who wanted to die, so an assisted suicide type of situation, and then killed somebody in self-defense, it seems like. So
yeah,
he's not so bad. What can I say?
Yeah, I can see them not wanting robots to kill people in self-defense. I guess I understand that cap, you know? But treating medics as more than just a base robot, then it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like when understanding that he was given some sort of, like, giving him some extra emotions, it's like, okay, I can understand. This is where I'll try not to get into the sentient conversation, but that's once you start feeling the sentience thing a little bit, then you can be like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and the only reason we're not getting into the sentient thing is because, yeah, we want to see how it pans out before we actually, like, deep dive into everything.
Yeah.
The person that came with medics, because they're apparently a pair here, is Will. She was a CNE officer who was wounded in Pleasant Station, right? And became very close with medics. They're basically friends.
Yeah, it sounds like, if I understand this correctly, the person who wanted the assisted suicide is kind of the person who unlocked medics, but then Will is the person who has taken medics to the next level from that.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. Will is interesting because obviously she's helped medics and wants medics to survive, you would assume. But she's still very much about the CNE as, like, an institution, and still exceedingly patriotic. I think she uses the word patriotic, right?
Yeah, it feels like a priority list thing almost, where it's like she technically committed treason, right, to do this, but only because she cared a lot about medics, not because she didn't care about the CNE or didn't believe in it or any of that. She didn't like maybe some of the systematic stuff, right? Like the fact that she's in this bodysuit to stay alive, right? But she still believed in the mission. It was never about that.
Yeah, which is, it's very interesting because it's like, you don't care about how bad the system is until it affects you.
Yeah.
Would she care if a robot like medics got taken in and destroyed? Probably not. No, it's just because it personally affected her, right? So, and then that's still not enough for her to kind of see that it's the CNE that's the problem, right? It's the system that's the problem. In general, let's just say it's humans and their relationship to robots that is the problem here. But yeah, she's not quite ready to have that revelation, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, and it seems like she's grown up this way, right? Like she's kind of always really believed in the CNE, and that's why she was driven to join, right? Like it was a personal motivation to do so. So I think even though she's been wronged by the CNE personally, like it's hard to unwire that stuff sometimes. So I don't think it's impossible for her, but she's definitely not there yet.
Right. It's also because, like, Pleasant Station, she sees what the CNE did for her, like giving her the suit, as like almost a kindness that they did for her. But the reason Pleasant Station happened is because the CNE thought they could just steal Belzor technology, right? Like, they found some tech on a broken ship, they took it, they wanted to research it, and the Belzor came and was like, well, that's not yours, we want it back. And the humans were like, no. So it's basically what's happening with the Grail. We've already seen the devastation before, obviously, with Pleasant Station, but instead of, like, being against the CNE for the actions they took and the people they basically sacrificed for the sake of this technology with Pleasant Station, she's still all about the CNE, and she and Maya do not get along right now.
I mean, she's going as far to say as I'd rather be dead for the purpose of having tried to save it.
Right.
Because when she's talking to Maya about it and they bring up the settler union kind of fixing it up, she's like, no, like we maybe even if they did take it, we would have done some damage first before they ran off with it. It's like, wow, like she's like so committed to it. I'm sure not everyone feels that way about it, you know? She's so committed to this mission of the CNE, like taking this technology for, quote, their survival, that she's willing to sacrifice a lot.
Right, and she obviously has a bias against aliens in general. Like, she's uncomfortable with, like, Uncle touching her, basically, being around her, and, like, I doubt she'd get along with the Belzor in any capacity after what happened. And, yeah, I don't think she's traveled very far as a CNE officer.
Yeah. It was interesting to see the perspectives here too. Like, Maya was like, well, the settler union came in and saved the day, and Will is like, the settler union came and fucked things up, you know? Like, almost to the perspective, like, I could see Will thinking, yeah, when the settler union came in, they came to help the Belzors, and Maya saying when the Settler Union came in, they came to help the CNE.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like a two truth situation, right? Like they did kind of come in and help the Belsors out, but it was for the purpose of saving people.
Right.
The other thing that's just in general, I think, interesting about this argument and like, yeah, the discomfort with Uncle, and also like back on medics, like Maya has sort of a distrust of medics and a concern that medics might want to kill them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like all that stuff. It's interesting to see that no one is clear free of bias, right? Like at first Maya kind of gets the pass of like being like, no, like I want to help people and like, you know, return things to where they came from, but like she has a bias, right? Like it shows that like it's impossible to get away from. Like this is true for humans, right? Like it's impossible to fully get away from, and no one's free of bias entirely. It's like looking for it and identifying it and addressing it, which I'll be curious to see how much addressing of it happens. Like medic seems like the easiest one. I'll be curious to see if Will gets the same like I'm gonna address my bias arc as hopefully Maya gets.
Yeah, I agree. Maya's is definitely the simplest right now.
Mm-hmm.
Will is so interesting. It's so crazy that this is the gang we have on this ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they seem to work well together, which is insane. It is interesting how differently they're written, though. Like, Medic seems the most likely to go along with things, which is interesting considering he doesn't have as much will as the other characters, right? And then obviously you have, like, Will and Maya having their tensions and, like, their fights, but still working together at the moment. And then the enthusiasm of, like, Uncle.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
This is more a commentary on Medics, I guess. Like, yeah, we haven't seen him really have many opinions on the mission, but I think that's purposeful, right?
Right. At the end of the day, they're both Medics and Will are there to do a job, and I think that does show of like, okay, we're here to do something, to perform a mission. Will is like, oh, you have to like share information with me so that way I can properly protect you, right? Like it's like it comes back to those things for the both of them. So I think that is why they work, is because despite the fact that they were not properly vetted, maybe by Uncle, or that Maya didn't have a chance, like they are meeting a contract and they're still successfully doing so.
Yeah, though I do think things will get complicated for Will on that front because one of the people they're against is the CNE.
Right.
So there might be like a shift in just doing the job for her, but for Medics, I don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm speaking about Will in that way because I think one of my main theories for that character is she has this very long conversation. I'm skipping ahead. When they get on Emerald, she has a long conversation with Garcia, and apparently it's about the stars, whatever that means. So I definitely think she's betraying them.
Yeah, that's what that gives. Honestly, like, I barely even remember this happening. I don't know why. Is it because we don't see the conversation, do we?
No, and Maya sees them talking, but we don't know what the conversation's about.
Yeah, that is unusual. I guess this is before things really devolve into chaos and violence, but yeah, that is definitely concerning. And I'm shocked that no one has like pulled that information out of Will yet. Maybe we will get that before things get out of hand. I don't know. But I would definitely believe that's like a major red flag for what Will do. I otherwise, like, I know that Will's probably conflicted working against the CNE and like having these sort of passions and stuff. Without that conversation, I don't think I am suspicious of a flip. But because of that conversation, like, you have to be suspicious.
Because I think right now the only motivation Will has is keeping Medics alive. So I think if Garcia made a deal to help Medics or not go after Medics or like leave them alone, anything, right? It's very simple.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have the power to like clear Medics of charges.
Right. And they could literally disappear to anywhere in the universe. Even somewhere new if the CNE is planning to make new nodes for themselves, right? So yeah, there's a lot Will can gain, especially because Maya has been keeping secret like exactly what they're searching for, and the fact that the CNE was after it, they didn't really know until, was it on Melancholy or around there? Whenever they ran into Liam the first time. Yeah. Which pissed Will off, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're after the Grail and what it does, and if Will is as patriotic as she is, she's gonna want to side with Earth, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but let's just lay all the theories out. But I think if she does betray, I think it's going to get medics killed. This is maybe the craziest theory. I don't know if this is going to be the case, but medics really wants kind of one thing. He wants he's not like afraid of death. He kind of wants to pass on in like the human way after living a life. He doesn't think that's possible for himself, so he settles on he just wants one moment of joy and he would be content with his life, right? So I think this little found family crew,
a little foreshadowy.
Yeah, I think they're going to have one good amazing moment together. Will is going to betray. Medics is going to end up dying either because he sacrifices himself to save them or something.
My vote's sacrifice, yeah.
I think so. And he's going to feel content in that because he had that moment of joy beforehand. And that's the reason will switch back to working with Maya and Uncle.
As someone who is on a podcast about theory making for books, you would think I would think about deaths more. I almost never do. Like I almost never come to the first ep thinking like here's the people I think might not make it to the end. Even in the horror books, it turns out, as we learned last month. I do think if anyone were to die, it would be Medics. Medics is like, I don't even know, he's kind of like the puppy dog character, like that sidekick character, right? And I do think that's often they carry the innocence needed of a worthy sacrifice in a book. So I think I agree with you.
Yeah, because he's set himself up, hasn't he? He's declared what he wants.
And I think there was something emphasized in the parallel of like, I helped someone die and I want to know what that's like too. So, dang it. I liked Medics.
I know. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll be shocked. Maybe everybody will live. That would be crazy.
Except that poor Belzor.
I know. Oh my gosh, that was he was just
it was
excited.
Crazy. He was just at work.
I know.
And I was not that I didn't mean to skip ahead with this, but the one thing that came to mind with that was like, dang, like Maya does this job. This could have been her, you know?
Right. Which it just so perfectly ties into Maya's concerns at the beginning. Like when you do stuff like this, you kind of just drag other people into your shit.
Right.
Like, you kill 10,000 Belzors and, like, have to live with it, and then you get this random scholar killed when he's just doing his job. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, nope, this is why I also would not be doing this bullshit, too.
I know. It really is the CNE's fault. They literally did not have to shoot any weapons.
My God, yes.
It would have been better if they didn't, to be honest.
Why were they not trying to be sneakier? Like, that's crazy. They caused the whole scene.
And the fact that they did that on Emerald... we're really jumping ahead now, but like the audacity for the CNE to roll up to Emerald and say, we're going to shoot some people. We're going to threaten some people.
Is that not like an act of war?
It should be. It fucking should be. But the reason we're speaking so much of Emerald is because that's where the Grail is, right? We kind of get Maya figuring that out through some pieces of the Volume 5, one of Huang's like most famous quotes about leaving footprints, going back to the beginning, that kind of stuff. And the I was going to say the Emerald, but it's not a ship. And Emerald was the place where the Traveler started their expedition, basically. And it also has a museum on it. So yeah, the museum also helped fund part of that expedition. So obviously they got a lot of what they found.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. So a lot of Frenro type of stuff is housed there, including the Grail. And that's what we're breaking into. I will say this is the smallest part. Like, this is a heist book, but this was like a very small heist that happened here.
Yeah, I have thoughts about that. Yeah. So just to contextualize this, one thing I was trying to understand more was the book that they steal. That's volume 6?
Volume 5.
Volume 5. So they bring volume 5 over to that guy in Melancholy, and that's where they learn more information about this, like this, where it is. Because I really thought it was just kind of the quote. I thought they were just like, oh, there's this quote about starting back at the beginning. The beginning must be Emerald. And then I was like, wait, like, why did we need the book for that?
I was confused too, because I thought the quote was like obvious, go back to the beginning, but Greg can parse through like the secret data that's embedded in the book and finds recordings basically of the Grail being locked up somewhere, and they're able to identify it, and then with the beginning quote, identify the place as the museum on Emerald. I think that's how that logic goes.
Right. Which I guess probably informs Maya's dreams too.
Yes, she is also dreaming of the Grail, because she's infected.
Right.
Which we skipped over all of that, by the way, I guess.
Like her being infected as a child and all that.
Well, we know she's infected, but we never specified that, like, infected people, like, see visions of, like, the past and the future. And we do see her fulfill one of these visions, right? When she has the vision of Emerald and ends up in Emerald, shot and searching for the Grail. It's the only reason she's so sure that she finds it. Because Uncle doesn't feel the Grail. But yeah, Maya's able to be like, yeah, it's definitely here, so we should keep looking for it.
Yeah, so that thought plus, like, how early in the book this heist is and how quick it is, gave me the thought to be suspicious of the Grail that they have obtained. There's, like, a brief mention earlier that the Belzors don't exactly have the same sort of verification on the objects that they obtain, the artifacts, which kind of implies that there's probably some fakes, maybe some replicas, whatever. Like, it might not all be authentic. Given that we're expecting Uncle to feel the Grail when they get close, they being the group, I wonder if it's actually just a fake Grail.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because, like, obviously there's a parallel being made between, like, Huang and Maya, right? And, like, wanting to kind of chart things, and I don't know, I think the intent is very similar between them. I'm getting that vibe, at least. So I don't think Huang would, like, give up something as important as the Stardust machine.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Like, they would have given their fake Grail so that way they could protect the real one. I kind of just thought it was like they thought they had the real Grail, but it was fake. Because my extension of this theory is that Maya and crew are going to have to follow the rest of the path of Dr. Huang and crew and, like, go into the Dead Sea and, like, find whatever they need to find to get the Grail, or to find if it doesn't exist, like, to get evidence of that. Like, either way, like, I thought I was going to have to follow the full path, but with what you're saying, that's not necessary.
There is still weirdness about the Traveler, right? Because, like, it was a crew, but only Huang and Ngozi made it back, right? Everybody else disappeared. And then Huang herself ended up going back into the Dead Sea because she was infected. And so she disappeared as well. So
okay, this is making more sense too then. So they could still land, they could still need to go to the Dead Sea, right? Because if Dr. Huang has the Grail and, like, just ran off with it to protect it or something, right?
Maybe, yeah. Especially if Huang had, like, a vision about it.
Yeah, and Kosi just died, so, like, Dr. Huang could be alive for sure. So maybe we'll meet her.
Yeah, especially if space-time is weird in the Dead Sea. We don't really know.
That's a good point, yeah.
But yeah, they do end up succeeding. They do get the Grail, supposed Grail. And they're able to escape Emerald. Not without being chased down by Belzor ships and the CNE.
Mm-hmm.
They are heading towards a Lithian node, and then a Lithian ship comes through. So they're kind of stuck between the CNE and a Lithian ship. And this is when the CNE is like, don't engage. And it's like, okay, first of all, you're in Belzor territory right now. What are you talking about?
Yeah. They're bold. Ego.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also crazy, though, that the Lithians are still after them. Like, the when they're on the ground, this is an issue, too, where Maya's, like, hiding from them. Like, oh, shit, like, this is another major reason I would not be doing this sort of work. It's not even just because I feel bad, but because they're, like, coming for me.
Right, yeah. And it's been 10 years, which, I mean, for, like, Uncle means nothing. But Belzors have a
they said, like, short lifespans, yeah. They mentioned that the, and I'm forgetting the Belzor's name that dies, but that Belzor is, like, 15 years old and is, like, a young adult. So, like, I guess a slightly smaller time scale.
Right, yeah. I guess you never kind of move on from that, though. I guess it was kind of devastating. 10,000 people.
No, yeah, you're a criminal for the rest of your life, I think, at that point. It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And also, there's, for this moment at least, there's no guarantee the Lithians know the Wonder is the Wonder in this moment. Like, they just kind of probably know that a Belzor museum got broken into and the CNE is here for some reason. And so they're coming to, like, help out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but this part gets scary because then they're, like, flying right at them.
Yes, yeah. It's definitely a risk on Uncle's side of things, but
It went pretty much how I expected, though. Once they saw them, I was like, the only way is past, like, to go past them. So that's exactly what Uncle did.
Z ends up driving them basically into the Lithian node, but Maya does note something interesting about when this happens of Uncle, like, taking it to the left, like, doing something strange within the node. They're probably not going to end up in Lithian space.
Honestly, that's not even how I interpreted it. I didn't end up writing a note down about this, because I didn't even think about that, like, taking a left affecting where they land. I think that's possible, right? Like, this is weird space shit. Like, it makes sense that something like that could happen. But I don't know. I just thought they would end up... I feel like as I was reading this, I was like, oh, they're going to end up back on that planet. Like, that's maybe why there's been so much fear sown in about ending up back on Lithius, is because we're going to end up there and it's going to be scary.
Yeah. I guess my thought process is, like, is there a reason we need to end up on Lithius, right? Like, obviously, it's a trauma point, but...
It could raise the stakes, right? To be like, this is, you know, it could cause more of a direct argument between Maya and Anko, which I think has kind of been simmering anyway. To say, like, this is why I didn't want to get back into this stuff. This is why I said this is my last job. Like, I don't think we should be, you know, sacrificing other people, risking other people for what we want, you know?
Right.
And, like, Maya, when they're doing the heist, it sees that Uncle and I guess others, it sounded like more than just Uncle, are, like, stealing more than what they came for, and even has some, like, ethical questions about that, too, of, like, wait, no, like, this is not what we do. Like, just because the CNE is causing chaos doesn't mean we should be doing the crazy shit they're doing. Like, we should be coming for the Grail and going.
To be fair, if it is, like, Frenro stuff, then it, like, doesn't belong to the Belzor anyway, so I'm like, whatever. But, yeah, I get what you mean.
I don't know. I agree with you on that, though. I was like, you guys should really be focusing on the Grail, though. Like, you guys can get out of here a little bit faster if you help Maya out.
And then, obviously, the issue of it probably not even being the Grail.
I could see it if it is the Grail. I could see it not being obvious to Uncle how to use it, and then they still have, like, there's still a motivation to go find Dr. Huang and be like, teach us. Like, maybe she knows, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And that's basically where we are, I guess.
I do have one more kind of a wilder theory I'm not committed to, but I'd be interested to see if they go somewhere with, and just didn't have a specific spot in the story to mention it. So the Frenro are associated with the nodes. You kind of just mentioned that with, you know, with Uncle taking that left turn. I wonder if, you know, we're seeing the nodes disappear, and this Grail that is related to the Frenro is supposed to be able to make more of them. So I'm wondering if, given that the Grail does both reproductive work and to the creation of nodes, if those are kind of the same thing. And I think this gets a little weird sci-fi-y, but, like, what if the Frenro children are, like, that are supposed to come from Uncle getting this are themselves nodes? Like, what if those are children, or just, like, in some way connected to nodes? Like, what if something about the nodes going away has to do more with the Frenro than, like, the supposed Belzor or Belzor-like thing that is destroying the nodes, you know? Like, I'd just be curious if there is a relationship. Like, you know, why else would this one Grail do so many things effectively? And maybe it does, but I think there's an opportunity here for there to be, like, a weird scientific explanation behind this one device, both providing reproductive access and creating nodes.
I wonder if it's just attached to creation, right, in the general sense.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see if they have, like, a more definitive reason as to why it works the way it does, but then I can also imagine, like, a hand-wavy creation type of situation.
And that, I think that would be fine. I don't think it needs this level of explanation. The book hasn't gotten this obscure about sci-fi yet, I think, so it might be, like, one step beyond what it's going for, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the only other thing we have is Liam, who we completely skipped over.
Oh my god, we didn't talk about him at all, which is crazy, because actually I think I love Liam.
Oh my goodness.
I think I really want a good story for him. Like, I think, you know, obviously he starts out very angry, very bitter, but he's also clearly going through something in his personal life. Though maybe he's always been bitter, right? That's the idea that Maya says. And I don't know, I just feel like his whole, like, I've been anxious to travel and, like, not get out in the world my whole life. He's, like, now being presented as a bit naive now that he's doing that with the CNE. Like, there's so much room for growth despite the fact that he is a full-grown adult, right? Like, I just want to see it happen. And, like, the fact that he and Maya started out as peers and ended up in such different places, like, I think there's like a good opportunity for reconnection, friendship, right? She's friends with his now soon to be ex-husband. There's camaraderie to be had, and I want to see it.
Yeah, him joining the CNE was, I think, obvious, but I don't think they were trying to hide it.
Yeah, once that came out, I was like, duh. Like the fact that he left suddenly like that at this time, it's like, that's no accident.
Yeah, I do think you could have an interesting discussion about like academia versus field research and like which one is more valuable. The fact that Garcia goes to Maya first is interesting, and the fact that Liam is hurt by this because it turns out he's not that special is certainly interesting as well.
It's almost like a practical knowledge versus theoretical, right? Which, like, academia, it's interesting. We don't have to get into it right now, but it'll be interesting to talk about like how academia sits between those two worlds.
Yeah. And then obviously, Liam, I'm sure, is regretting his choice to join the CNE right now. My theory for him is he'll end up helping Maya.
I think so too. I'm just waiting for it at this point. And like, especially, I saw it happening even before things went too crazy. But once they were in the heist situation, I was like, there's no way Liam's going to be able to stand for this. First of all, it's going to be way too real for him, way too violent. He's a homebody, right? Like, he's afraid of the, well, not afraid of the world, but afraid of space, I guess. Like, that's going to be far too much for him, far too shocking. And the fact that Maya is at risk, like, he obviously cares for her, you know, to some degree. Like, and he even apologized before he left, right? Like, there's obviously a relationship there beyond like his bitterness. So I think it'll wake him up. He'll have that opportunity to grow.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, he also might be a helpful human perspective for Maya, right? Like, because I do think the end of this book kind of has to do both. It does it. Like, I don't think the Grail will end up with Earth in any capacity. That's my hot take. But I don't know if, like, the CNE will be satisfied with them receiving help from aliens again. I mean, that might be the ending we get, but
I could see there being a version of this where they're able to kind of take it slow on the application of the Grail and find a way to make it work for multiple purposes. I could see that being the ending. Part of me doesn't want that because I like agree with Maya. You know, they're saying, oh, like it's for the survival of humans, but I'm like, it sounds like the reason why humans are struggling with survival is their own fucking fault.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why should we have to sacrifice any ability of this Grail on them? But if there's a way that the Grail is not going to be fully sacrificed for them, right? Like we can all get what we all want. All right, fine, I'll take it.
It's just rough because like Garcia seems like such a villain. So it's like you don't want him to win, but also him winning is like helping humanity. So it's like, oof, I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I think there's a way where if those problems are solved by the Grail, but not through Garcia, then it's okay.
Yeah, it also might just be a resolution of humans need to get rid of their pride.
Mm-hmm.
Humans have been helped in the space race, and they've been helped in this interstellar web, and they don't want to be helped. They want to be able to do it on their own. But it's like, well, too fucking bad, baby. Like,
yeah,
you're being helped by people that are better than you. Suck it up.
Yes, yeah.
But that is basically everything. Obviously, we've gone very like sweeping over some of the deeper conversations here, but hopefully we will get to them in part 2. If you have any of your own thoughts and theories, all of our socials are in the description, and then, you know, there's ratings and comments and all of that kind of stuff depending on where you're listening to us. And that's going to be it, I think.
All right. Bye-bye.